The zombie genre is about to change forever, and 2026 is where it happens. Brutal survival, next-gen horror, and games that don't play by the old rules. Stay till the end, because the last entries push the genre further than ever before. Parasite Mutant is an upcoming sci-fi horror RPG set to launch in 2026 on PS5 and PC, where you step into the role of psionic agent Nova, sent to investigate a mysterious abandoned island city that has been completely overrun by grotesque creatures and cosmic horrors. The game draws clear inspiration from classic genre titles through its active time chains combat system, which blends timing-based action with strategic resource management, creating a constant sense of tension that sits between tactical turns and real-time pressure. Alongside combat, you will explore puzzle-filled environments, progress through weapons and gear upgrades, customize outfits, and eventually unlock a New Game Plus mode that opens up additional zones and tougher challenges after completing the first playthrough. A demo is already available on PC, featuring the prologue and tutorial, and it offers an early look at the game's atmosphere, mechanics, and overall tone ahead of the full release. The Revanchist is an upcoming first-person survival horror experience for PC, built in Unreal Engine 5, and designed to immerse you in unsettling environments where every shadow feels threatening and every abandoned structure hints at danger or hidden meaning. The gameplay centers on investigation, careful inventory management, and tense encounters as you slowly uncover the truth behind a mysterious numbers station and the disappearance of someone personally connected to you. Exploration plays a major role, with environmental storytelling guiding you through eerie locations that reward observation rather than aggression. While an exact release date has not yet been confirmed, everything shown so far points toward a modern survival horror experience rooted in classic influences, with a strong emphasis on atmosphere, suspense, and psychological tension over non-stop action. Phase Zero is a retro-inspired survival horror game coming to PC in 2026 from indie developer Spina Studio, placing you in the cursed town of Flint Peak, where a grotesque outbreak has transformed the local population into horrifying creatures. The core gameplay loop embraces classic survival horror traditions, focusing on exploring unsettling environments, solving puzzles, managing scarce resources, and surviving through the night while switching between two playable characters. Its visual style leans heavily into stylized, old-school horror aesthetics reminiscent of late 90s genre staples, reinforcing a constant sense of dread through atmosphere and creature design. A demo is already available on Steam, and it has been well received by players who appreciate its nostalgic tone, deliberate pacing, and commitment to traditional survival horror tension.
Phase Zero.
Beautiful Light is an upcoming tactical extraction shooter with horror elements, scheduled for release on PC in December 2026 and built in Unreal Engine 5 by indie studio Deep Worlds SA. The game combines PvP/PvE combat with extraction-based gameplay, sending you and your squad into hostile zones to hunt for artifacts or complete objectives before escaping with your loot while facing rival players and dangerous anomalies. Combat is designed to be hardcore and immersive, emphasizing realistic firefights, survival pressure, and the need for careful planning and coordination within your team. Gear progression and squad tactics are essential, and the presence of permadeath raises the stakes significantly, as dying means losing your equipment and starting over from scratch, reinforcing the game's relentless survival-focused design. Forest 3 is the next installment in the Forest Survival franchise from End Night Games, following The Forest and Sons of the Forest, and it was officially revealed during the 2025 Game Awards. This new entry shifts the series in a bold direction by introducing a sci-fi tinged survival experience that begins with a crash landing on a strange alien world, expanding both the setting and the overall tone of the franchise, while it continues to build on the familiar foundations of survival, crafting, and exploration. It introduces a more atmospheric and otherworldly approach that pushes the formula into new territory. Although specific release timing and platform confirmations have not yet been finalized, current information points toward a 2026 release on PC, with Forest 3 retaining its core survival identity while embracing a distinctly futuristic twist. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando is an upcoming over-the-top co-op first-person shooter built around chaotic zombie action with a heavy dose of 80s horror and action movie energy. The game is set in a near-future world where a failed experiment unleashes a monstrous entity known as the Sludge God, triggering a full-scale undead outbreak that only a specialized squad of Toxic Commandos can stop. You can play solo or team up with up to 3 friends as you tear through massive zombie hordes using guns, grenades, special abilities, and even melee weapons like katanas, all while embracing fast-paced, exaggerated violence. The experience places a strong emphasis on cross-platform play, vehicle combat, and relentless horde encounters across PS5, Xbox, and PC. The release date is officially locked in for March 12, 2026, marking the moment when the zombie invasion begins.
You see my new toy?
Fire! Zombie fight!
Best power ever!
Valor Mortis is a first-person action RPG and Souls-like experience that takes place in a dark, alternate history inspired by plague-ravaged Napoleonic Europe. You play as William, a resurrected soldier brought back to life through corrupting supernatural forces, now navigating a world consumed by war, disease, and hidden conspiracies. Combat blends challenging melee and ranged encounters that demand precise timing, parries, dodges, and brutal finishers, while grotesque enemies and eerie environments reinforce the game's haunting tone. Level design draws from Metroidvania-style progression, requiring you to unlock abilities that open new paths, secrets, and shortcuts throughout the world. With its immersive first-person perspective, strong horror overtones, and demanding combat systems, Valor Mortis aims to carve out its own identity within the Souls-like genre, and is currently planned for release in 2026 on PS5, Xbox, and PC. Hunger is an upcoming extraction-style RPG with PvPvE mechanics, set in a brutal, plague-infested version of Napoleonic Europe. The gameplay revolves around high-stakes extraction runs where you scavenge resources, fight grotesque horrors and rival players, and push deeper into dangerous zones in pursuit of better rewards. Combat combines melee and range systems, while long-term character progression, gear crafting, and looter-style mechanics encourage repeated runs and strategic risk-taking. Survival tension is constant, as every encounter carries consequences that can set your progress forward or wipe it away entirely. Although a firm release date has not yet been confirmed, the game is expected to move toward an early 2026 release window on PC as development continues.
These folds of flesh you and I both know.
Lockdown Hollow Stories, also listed on Steam as Hollow Stories Lockdown, is an upcoming survival horror noir experience set in the 1990s, where the city itself feels hostile, unsettling, and deeply corrupted. The story pulls you into a tangled investigation involving police corruption and a hidden cult, forcing you to explore tense locations such as a gloomy police station while piecing together the truth through clues and environmental storytelling. Gameplay focuses on puzzle solving, classic inventory-based resource management, and survival under constant pressure, blending fixed camera angles with first-person aiming during combat encounters. The visual style leans into neo-retro horror aesthetics, supported by a haunting soundtrack that amplifies the atmosphere at every turn. A release date has not yet been announced, and the game is currently listed as coming soon for PC.
I'm losing my mind. There are things... What the hell did you get yourself into? I went after Richard's call. I thought I could help him. To the same spot.
Decrepit is a dark fantasy first-person Souls-like survival game that was officially revealed at the Game Awards and is set within a cursed castle crawling with zombies and nightmarish creatures. Each death sends you back to a dungeon cell rather than resetting the entire experience. While the castle's layout remains persistent, meaning unlocked shortcuts stay open and discovered secrets remain accessible. This structure encourages mastery of space and level knowledge rather than repetitive grinding or random generation. Combat is heavy, deliberate, and punishing, drawing inspiration from titles like Dark Souls, Hexen, and classic dungeon crawlers, all reimagined through an immersive first-person perspective powered by Unreal Engine 5. Decrepit is currently expected to launch in 2026 on PC. Ill is an upcoming first-person survival horror game built in Unreal Engine 5 and developed by Team Clout, placing you inside a dark research fort that has been overtaken by a mysterious and malevolent presence. The environment is filled with grotesque monsters and oppressive tension, supported by unpredictable enemy behavior that makes every encounter feel dangerous and unstable. Gameplay emphasizes strategic inventory management, realistic physics interactions, and weapon systems that can malfunction, forcing you to stay alert and adapt under pressure. A visceral dismemberment system makes combat feel brutal and grounded, while the overall experience leans heavily into cinematic presentation and immersive horror design. The developers, who have backgrounds working on horror films and series, aim to create a tightly focused survival loop built around atmosphere, fear, and constant vulnerability, and the game is planned for release on PS5, Xbox, and PC, though no exact launch date has been confirmed. Liminal Point is a psychological survival horror game scheduled to release on PC in 2026, following the story of Lyra, a once-rising rock star who returns to a fog-covered island after receiving a cryptic voicemail connected to the disappearance of her bandmate Mira. As you explore the island, the world continuously shifts between harsh reality and disturbing hallucinations, blurring the line between memory and madness. Locations range from abandoned mansions and hospitals to underground sewer systems, all filled with unsettling details and lurking threats. Gameplay focuses on atmospheric exploration, careful resource management, and a layered narrative that slowly reveals the truth behind the island and the events that drove Lyra back. The experience prioritizes mood, psychological tension, and storytelling over constant action, creating a slow burning descent into fear and uncertainty.
In the place where hope turned to I'll be waiting.
Tiny Hero Courier is a stylized action-adventure game set in a miniature, tilt-shift-inspired post-apocalyptic world that resembles a detailed diorama, often compared to the visual tone of Love, Death, and Robots. You play as Rupert, an ordinary courier tasked with delivering packages across dangerous environments while avoiding fast-moving zombies, solving environmental puzzles, and reacting to constantly shifting threats. Each delivery introduces unique challenges, as different types of packages can affect your movement, balance, and strategy, including bulky or explosive cargo that changes how you approach encounters. Boss fights test your reflexes, while progression eventually turns your vehicle into both a means of transportation and a tactical tool for survival. Although the game has already drawn attention on Steam for its distinctive style and frantic energy, its release date on PC has not yet been announced and remains listed as TBA. Chrysal Theater of Idols is an upcoming first-person survival horror action-adventure developed by Vermila Studios and published under Blumhouse Games, built in Unreal Engine 5 and set in a nightmarish version of Hispania. You play as Gabriel, a soldier trapped on the cursed island of Tormentosa, where religion, folklore, and grotesque nightmares collide into a single terrifying reality. A defining mechanic of the game is that every shot you fire consumes your own blood as ammunition, forcing you to constantly balance health, combat effectiveness, and survival as you explore the island. Gameplay blends puzzle solving, exploration, and intense combat against twisted idols brought to life, all wrapped in a heavy atmosphere of dread and symbolism. The game debuted with a playable demo in 2025 and is currently planned for a 2026 release on PC, PS5, and Xbox, though an exact date has not yet been locked in.
May ascend to you.
Blight Survival is an upcoming PvE action horror survival game, set in a brutal, plague-ridden medieval world where humanity is collapsing under the weight of disease and violence. You can play solo or team up with up to 3 friends as you fight through corrupted landscapes filled with monstrous enemies and desperate survivors. The gameplay blends cooperative combat, extraction-style decision-making, deep melee-focused encounters, character progression, and loot systems, all while asking you to judge how far to push into danger on each run. Every choice affects survival, as pushing deeper increases rewards but also raises the risk of failure. Not One Last Paradise is an upcoming multiplayer zombie survival extraction game set in a post-apocalyptic South Korea, where survival depends on careful planning, timing, and constant risk assessment. During the day, you scavenge ruins and manage your shelter, preparing supplies and equipment, while nighttime pushes you into infected city zones filled with zombies and hostile survivors. The core gameplay revolves around PvPvE encounters, resource management, and extraction mechanics, forcing you to decide when to cooperate with other players and when competition is the only way forward. Every expedition carries consequences, as poor decisions can cost you hard-earned gear and progress. A new playtest is planned for 2026 on PC, giving players an early opportunity to experience the game and help shape its development before full release, which is still listed as to be announced. Ritual Tides is an upcoming first-person horror adventure from Vert Paint Studios, built in Unreal Engine 5 and heavily inspired by Lovecraftian folk horror. The story begins with you washing ashore on a mysterious British island, where isolation, unease, and unanswered questions dominate every step forward. Gameplay focuses on immersive exploration, atmospheric tension, stealth-driven encounters, and puzzle-like interactions as you uncover the island's disturbing history and confront its unsettling inhabitants. The environment itself plays a central role, using sound, lighting, and environmental storytelling to create a constant sense of dread. Originally planned as a PC-only release, the game has since been confirmed for consoles as well, though an exact release date has not yet been announced.
There is no escape. Bang knocking. Banging.
They Left Us Here is an upcoming sci-fi horror first-person exploration game coming to PC, centered on isolation, mystery, and creeping dread. You awaken aboard an abandoned space station with no memory of who you are or why you are there, only to realize that the crew has vanished and something hostile now stalks the corridors. The gameplay loop is built around exploration, puzzle solving, and survival, as you evade threats, uncover fragments of the station's history, and piece together your own identity. Encounters involve a rogue AI and other unseen dangers that turn routine navigation into a constant struggle for survival. The game is currently listed as coming soon on Steam with no confirmed release date, and places a strong emphasis on atmosphere, claustrophobic environments, and cryptic narrative discovery. Canyons is an upcoming third-person cooperative action shooter set in a procedurally generated post-apocalyptic world defined by harsh terrain and constant danger. You are dropped into vast canyon environments either solo or with up to 3 other players, where survival depends on scavenging resources, fighting hostile creatures, and coordinating effectively as a team. A standout feature is the ability to command massive machines known as crawlers, which can be upgraded and customized to support exploration, combat, and settlement building. Between expeditions, you develop your base and progress systems that help keep survivors alive and better prepared for future runs. While the game is often associated with 2026 release discussions, its official launch date has not yet been finalized and remains listed as to be announced for PS5 and PC.
Power grows. Only the warriors of the Order and their faith.
Looks like a couple defiled over there.
Ontos is a sci-fi mystery adventure from Frictional Games, the studio behind Soma and Amnesia, scheduled for release in 2026 on PS5, Xbox, and PC. The game takes place inside a repurposed moon hotel called Samsara, a surreal location where reality bends and experimental technology challenges perception and identity. You play as Aditya Mani, who is drawn to Samsara after receiving a message from her estranged father, only to become entangled in unsettling experiments and philosophical questions that blur the boundary between horror and introspective science fiction. Rather than relying on traditional jump scares, the experience emphasizes exploration, narrative-driven discovery, and environmental storytelling across interconnected spaces. Tension builds through atmosphere, player curiosity, and gradual revelation, positioning Ontos as a deeply reflective and unsettling journey rather than a purely fear-driven one.
You want to understand, to know. Then you have to step in to grant wishes.
Who's there? Nightmare.
That's why all of us are here. Breaks.